Hey guys, welcome to another Dance Tech product review. A bit of a strange review this because I don't actually have the product here. And normally when I do my reviews I have the product in my little office and I film it and I show it to you and all the rest of it. But in this case I just want to give you a heads up on this product. Right? I visited a friend the other night and he had just bought a pair of these Presonus Eris E5s. Now, I've not heard of these speakers. When people talk about, near-field monitors, home studio monitors, you rarely hear anyone talk about Presonus. But I got to experience these the other night, and these are absolutely phenomenal speakers. So I'm just giving you a heads up on these. Well, when I went into the studio space, it's a typical home studio, and I clapped eyes on them. I said, "Well, those bass units, they're Kevlar, surely." And sure enough, they are. They're a Kevlar weave, the bass units, which means they're going to be very stiff relative to their weight, and they give a beautiful, tight bass end. Really, really nice, warm, full but tight bass end. And then Kevlar woofer, right? And then you've got a silk dome tweeter, which is beautifully smooth. It really is beautifully smooth. And the consequence of that is that you've got a lovely tight, really tight bass end and low mids, etc. And a beautiful silky top with no harshness at all, which means that your mids and upper mids just stand out that little bit more, but without any emphasis, right? I want to make that quite clear. There's no mid-range emphasis on these speakers, but you hear the mid-range very nicely because the tweeter is not at all harsh. It's so beautifully smooth, and because the cone itself is lovely and tight. And they're a beautiful speaker to look at. Very, very understated. I really like the way they have that understated look with just this lovely blue light, and the Kevlar sort of slate dark grey weave of the cone looks beautiful as well. They're really nice to look at, and they sound absolutely phenomenal. They really do. I was blown away by them. Now, if we just look at the price, these are also priced really well. I'm going to use Tomman. I always use Tomman because they're a really good indicator of a typical low street price across Europe. And on Tomman, the price is £252 a pair. A pair. £252. Now, another great or really good pair of 5-inch speakers are the Rocket 5s. I use an older version of the Rocket 5s than this. They're £131 each, so £262 a pair for the Rocket 5s. And the HS5s from Yamaha, again, a great 5-inch speaker. These are really nice. They're £143 each. So £286 for a pair of Yamaha 5-inch. £262 for a pair of Rocket 5 5-inch. £252 for a pair of these Presonus. So they're very, very well priced. And I've got to say, I hate to admit it, but they sounded better than my Rocket 5s. I can't say if they're better than the HS5s. I didn't do a head-to-head, right? But to my ears, they sounded possibly smoother and tighter than the HS5s. Possibly. At least as good. Easily as good, right? I'll just say again, this is just giving you a heads up on this product. I was really, really impressed with them, right? So, and there's some other stuff that's really impressive. Not only do they sound bloody fantastic and they're a good price, they've got a very interesting rear panel. Okay, first of all, you've got really good connectivity. You've got balanced XLR, balanced tip ring sleeve 1/4-inch jack, or unbalanced RCA for your input. So plenty of input choice. And the inputs are connected to an input gain. If you want, you can adjust the input gain. I would not recommend doing that, but you can if you want. But then over here we've got this really interesting panel labelled Acoustic Tuning. Now this is really interesting. First of all, you've got a low cutoff switch here. Now this is designed to be used if you put these speakers with one of Presonus's matching bass subwoofer units. Okay, and you can roll off the bottom end at 80 Hz or 100 Hz depending on which of the subwoofers you're putting these speakers with. Okay, then you have the ability to boost or cut the mids and the high by minus or plus 6 dB. Again, I would not recommend touching these usually, right? But you do have the ability to tune the highs and the mids if you want. But then you've got this really interesting thing here. This switch labelled Acoustic Space. And it's a three-way switch marked 0 dB, minus 2 dB or minus 4 dB. And a dotted line comes off from that, leading to these three images of the speakers being used in a home studio space. Now, the white box surrounding each picture is the walls, right? Now that doesn't mean that you're in an oblong room like that, okay? What it means is that in this scenario here, the minus 4 dB picture, your speakers are in the corner. Doesn't matter how wide your room is, but your speakers are in the corner. They're close to the back wall, they're also close to the side walls, they're in the corners pointing at you. That increases the bass end, because the bass bouncing off the corner boosts the bass. So if your speakers are in corners, you can switch in the minus 4 dB switch, which rolls off the bottom end by 4 dB to compensate for the bass extra boost that you're going to get by shoving your speakers into the corners like that. In the second picture, the speakers are against the rear wall but not in the corners. Okay? Doesn't mean that your speakers are as close to the wall as it shows in this picture, but they're not in the corners is the point. But they are against the rear wall. Well, in that case, again, you put a bookshelf type speaker against a rear wall, close to a rear wall, you will get bass boost. So in that scenario, you've got the option to roll off the bass end by minus 2 dB, just a little dip, just to compensate for that bass boost that you're going to get by having your speakers close to a rear wall. And then in the final picture, the speakers are freestanding. They're not near to the rear wall or the side walls. In this kind of scenario, you do not get any bass boost, so you have the option there to leave the switch off, so there is no bass reduction. And I think it's very, very clever. It's a very, very clever idea that you've got the ability to just use this switch to just balance the bass according to where your speakers are located in a typical room. And you've also got this option to adjust the mids and highs. Again, I wouldn't touch that myself, but you can do it. Input gain, 3 types of input, and this cutoff switch if you're using the speakers with a subwoofer. Okay? They are absolutely phenomenal speakers. I've got to say, I wish I had a pair instead of the Rocket 5s. Not that I don't like the Rocket 5s. The Rocket 5s, I like them a lot. But these, I have to say, they were a nicer speaker. So there you go. The Presonus Eris E5s. Heads up, guys, check them out. They are mind-blowingly good speakers for the price. I mean, they really, 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 really are. Beautifully smooth and with a beautiful tight bottom end. Lovely and accurate. Absolutely lovely. Just to also tell you that in this speaker range, Presonus also do a smaller 4.5 inch Eris, which has got a volume control and headphone sockets and what have you on it. It's more a prosumer speaker, and they do a larger 8 inch version. These I would dearly love to hear. Okay, so there you go, the Eris E5s. Seriously, check them out. I'm going to see if I can get a pair from Presonus to actually review, but there's your heads up. Very well priced relative to popular speakers like the Rocket 5s or the Yamahas. A beautiful sound. A really, really beautiful sound. Go and check them out. There's your heads up, and I hope that's useful.